joining. We're happy to have you on here, man. You've been doing your thing for a while now.
I'm happy to be on here, bro.
Nah, I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
sir.
Okay, so we start from the top, man. How did you start? How did you start rapping? How did you get in this?
Like, I was already known, like, outside in the street. So, like, all my friends, everybody I knew just told me rap. And it just made sense for me to rap.
Mm-hmm. Oh, when was that?
Like, around 2016, 2017.
So how old were you then?
No, it was really 2017, 2018. Around when the corona started coming.
Mm-hmm. So when somebody's telling you, you already know, everybody knows you're already popular, they're telling you go rap. Did you think I can do this? Like, kind of, how did you know you even had like the ability to do it? You just gave it a shot and it was there. Like, kind of, how did you figure it out?
I gave it a shot, and my engineer, Ainge, he told me, like, nah, it's fire. Keep going. Because, like, he was helping my man's Booba Savage come up, so he already know the sound. Once the sound was there, he already told me, like, it's there, bro.
Wow.
So that's why I knew keep going.
So basically, I think that kind of stuff is important too. I noticed a lot of times with artists, like if you want to get somewhere, you do need somebody at the beginning who just believes in you, and you had that. And once you kind of
Facts.
had somebody who believed in you, that makes you want to keep going. What was the
Facts.
song you put out?
First song I put out, Woke Up. Really, like audio or video?
Either one, whichever one to you feels like, all right, this is my first real song.
Shoot or get shot.
Okay. And then so when you put it out, kind of what was the reception at the time?
Like, I was just trying to, I was just playing around. We was playing around. My man had paid for the studio. He like pull up. We out to the real studio for the first time. And the first time we was always getting free sessions. The first time we paid for it, shit paid off.
I thought that's
Right.
great.
Facts.
So you put the song out, you just kind of messing around and stuff like that. When do you start to when does the music start to pick up? Because people already knew who you were, right? But when does the music start to pick up and people know you for like your rapping for the songs?
When I made Jiggy Me and this, Jiggy Me and that, like, cause I was always on features. Like nobody take you serious when you on features. So like I seen in the comments, all my friends always saying, do songs by yourself, do songs by yourself. Once I did Jiggy Me and this, Jiggy Me and that, it was a solo song, and it just went crazy. From there, I knew once I hit 100K, I knew I could keep going.
Right. So when they were telling you to make solo songs, I'm assuming that you already knew, oh, I could do that. Like, so kind of, were you just like waiting for the right time? Like, how come it got to that point where you were just jumping on songs first?
It was because like I was the first one rapping, and I wanted to put my bros on too at the same time. So I'm like, everything I'm on, y'all gonna be on too, and we gonna go up together.
Right, right. So of course, Bronx Drill, I want to say probably I want to say 2 years, but that's not true. Really, the last 3 years is kind of when it started getting really big. But you were around kind of in the early days. So what was kind of that like when you are starting to like rise through the ranks and you're making Bronx Drill? I remember at this point, the whole world doesn't know about it yet. It's just strictly such a New York thing. But kind of how was it like building up through that and kind of getting to this point, especially with like so many rappers that were out at the time?
It was just like first it was for the block and for the Bronx, just for the Bronx. We didn't care if people heard it or not. But it got so big, everybody started hearing it. We see it's bigger than what we think.
Right.
Or what we thought.
So you put out D&D last May, song blows up. You're basically everything you put out after that pretty much starts like kind of going up and kind of like going up kind of really quickly. But when you first put out D&D, when did you notice, okay, this is different now? Now I have something that's like kind of outside of the Bronx.
At first, I didn't know. I never knew, like, because I didn't think D&D was a hit. I didn't know. We dropped it, and then 3 months later, it blew up. So, like, those 3 months, I had 300K in 3 months. After that, the shit blew up.
Right. Why do you think that is? I think I've noticed that kind of like in drill in New York in general, but especially in like Bronxville, where y'all will put songs out and then like it'll do okay, and then just one day that's it. It just blows up and it's like one of the hugest songs out there. Like, kind of, why do you think that is, as opposed to like I guess like other regions? Why do you think it takes like a little bit of time? still ends up huge.
Like it takes a little bit of time because like it's something new, bro. Drill something new, like. And at first, nobody believe. You gotta make people believe. Nobody just gonna think something gonna blow up. They gotta see the work. They gotta see that kids in the Bronx really want it.
Right. So of course, after D&D, 47K, One in the Head, 2 OPI, you pretty much go on a stretch for all of last year where you're putting out a lot of songs and they're all like moving, right?
Yeah.
So how did you keep that momentum up after D&D? Because I know a lot of times it's hard and I talked about this last week too. It's hard for artists after they have a song that gets really big to kind of keep it up and keep putting stuff out that keeps people interested. And you did that, but you did it pretty easily. Like it wasn't like tough. You weren't putting out duds. Like everything was just kind of continuing to work. So kind of what was your mentality in doing that?
It was like to me, I was still in the same regular situation. So I'm not thinking even D&D even big. So to me, it wasn't out. That wasn't enough. Like I knew I had to keep going, and I was in a bad situation, so I knew like this is now or never. Like it's now or never. So I
Right.
just stay consistent.
When did labels started reaching out to you?
Like like before, but like once I dropped D&D, but once my shit started blowing up, like I dropped face like they started really hitting me up when I dropped Face of the What.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I knew it was up.
So kind of how do you navigate that? Because when you started rapping and you were just like, but pretty quickly, like in a matter of 3-4 years, everything changes and it turns to a thing where it's like, oh no, this is a real career and I'm making money off of this and this is really turning into something. So kind of how did you deal with all of that with how everything kind of your attention on you changes now?
I just adapted to it. Like it helped me. Like all this shit I've been through helped me for now. Cause now I know like when I was rapping like for a year and a half before anybody knew me, that was like to me that was basically practice. Cause now what people can't do now, cause they started late. I started early, and
Mm-hmm.
all that shit just helping me now.
Right. Of course, you got to talk about, you always refer to yourself as the face of the Bronx. You said that, you're at the top of all the Bronx stuff and all of that. How do you see yourself like separating from everybody else, like in Bronx drill or just kind of in New York rap in general? Like, what did you think that you were doing that kind of got you in position?
I stood consistent. I stood out of jail. I stood out the bullshit. Even though niggas say shit, I stood out the bullshit, and I focused on my real life.
Mm-hmm.
My real life. Before the music, I focused on structuring my life up. I put the music into it, and I just went up.
Right. I think it's interesting when you said like you stayed out of the bullshit and like stayed out of jail and stuff like that. When did you kind of realize that the only way to kind of really make it a rap is, I think number one, you got to stay free. Like you got to be here. You got to be available. So kind
Cause
of, when did it click for you where you're like, all right, I just got to stay out of trouble. And like, that's one of the most important things here. If I just stay out of trouble, I'll be good.
when I met my manager Noodles, he kept drilling that shit in my head all the time. You better stay out of jail, bro. If you don't stay out, you're not gonna have no money. Just stay in the crib. He said, only way you're gonna get a deal if you out of jail.
Wow. Nah, that's good. I think that's really good advice. And I think that also shows that, you have a manager that cares about you and is looking out for you, because him even saying that, like, that's bigger than music or like a rap career or you just
And,
being.
and, and that's before we even had a thought about making it or nothing. Like it was just a dream. So
Right.
I cherish that shit a lot.
Right. No, because it's important. And like, obviously that kind of stuff makes a difference. When, so, you know, I think New York rap scene is kind of interesting because it's evolved so quickly and it's changed so quickly. And just like you said, where like people didn't really buy into the Bronx drill thing because, we're bigger acts in drill. Originally in New York, a lot of them were from, Brooklyn. But now there's so many of y'all and y'all are making so much momentum and making so much headway and so much is going on. And you're definitely one of the people who, as you said, consistently has kept making noise and stuff like that. But you were like, you got to make them believe. Once you made them believe, kind of what was your next step after that? Where you realize, okay, they see this, they taking this seriously now. Now what do you do?
Now I gotta stamp it for the world now I gotta just stamp it for the world. I had to stamp it for the world. Go in the stew, stay in the stew. That's how you go up too. people make one hit, they get signed, just stop working.
Right.
It's never stop. You're never supposed to stop. Just keep going.
Right. Um, of course, now you have two of your newer songs, New Ops, We Dropping with PGF Nuke. Um, who he was on the show recently too, and he also talked about how, like, him as an artist, he goes to different cities and like gets a feel for what's going on out there and hangs out with different rappers and see who's who, so he can like always be aware of what's going on. How did you and him end up working together? And kind of how do you feel like these songs are preparing people for Face of the What, which comes out, tomorrow?
Like my team, and I was been listening to his shit. Like I was been listening to his shit. I fucked with his shit. So when they asked me, do I want to do a song with him, I was with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that just about to make my shit go up. You heard?
Right. Right.
Turn me up. It just put me, because everybody's used to seeing me by myself. Like everybody
Right.
want to see me collaborate with people. Like I'm so like by myself all the time. They want to see me with other rappers, and that shit really helped me.
Right.
Shout out to my son Nook, man.
Do you think kind of like, oh, sorry to cut you off too. Do you think like you like kind of stand to yourself and stuff like that? Do you think that part of that is just because of, coming out of New York and kind of how weird the politics and stuff like that can be, especially when you're trying to be an artist? Like, do you think that's why you kind of stay to yourself at first?
That's a fact. The way New York is, this shit way is now everybody be thinking.
Right.
Like,
Right.
word.
Right. Because I know, I mean,
And it's small, so everybody know each other. So like you don't want to be around it. Certain
right.
shit.
Right. I mean, I think it's that. I mean, New York is small. There's only but so many places to go, especially if you rap, like everybody knows everybody else who raps, and everybody else knows who everybody else who's involved and stuff like that. So, and then on top of that, you have the fans online, which make everything better and also make things worse because they say
Yeah.
like
Right.
the shit and like they escalate things and stuff like that. So I think I get it. I totally understand you trying to be patient and being like, I'm gonna work with this person and this person, but I'm gonna take my time with it and make sure it's the right fit. Um, hey man, you're like 9 hours away from Face of the World coming out. Your Warner debut.
Let
I mean, right? I was just like,
Face it all dropping. Y'all know what's going on.
right,
Nobody gonna stop this to the top. You heard? Go
right.
get that.
Like I want to know, like, kind of when you were playing around all them years ago, did you see it come into this where like we were sitting here talking about your project that's coming out in a couple of hours and you got
Hell no. Hell no. I thought about it, but never. I never think I was gonna be doing this.
right.
Seriously though.
How did you kind of, so you get to this point, like kind of what are you thinking, like kind of where's kind of your mind at with it, and also too like the process of putting together Face of the Wood and also knowing like it's coming out and this is kind of like this is a big deal, it's a big moment. So kind of what are you thinking? Kind of where's your mind at on all of it?
I feel like this the beginning of my career. Like this is what people gonna know me as, and this is what they gonna see. Like I'm not here to play, and I'm here to stay. You heard? I'm not just gonna be here for the time being, like all these other rappers. I'm here to stay. I'm gonna show my fans love. I'm gonna make music for them. They the one that
Right.
got me here, so I'm always gonna show my fans love.
Right. Um, what's the biggest moment in your career so far?
Me getting signed in my life. Me getting signed. That's my biggest moment.
Right. Um,
And
um,
and 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 I'm about to have a kid, so
oh man, congratulations.
thank you.
So tell me about the day you got signed. Like, kind of what did you expect it to be, and like what was it actually like?
I expected it to be easy. You just sign. No, you gotta put in the work. You gotta do interviews. You gotta do all tape. You gotta do media training. It's work. So when
Right.
y'all get there, for the future people to get signed, just know there's a lot of work when you get there.
No, that's no. You know what? That's real. That's real. And I think you're the first person on here to ever bring up, like, yo, we have media training, like, which is like real. Like,
Word.
I mean, it's real, and I mean, and I totally get the place of it because that's like situations like this where you're like, this interview, like, I think you've done really well. I think you've answered a lot of questions. You've given a lot of yourself here, but right. I mean, knowing how to conduct yourself in all these different situations and all these people you don't know asking you questions, and like,
Word.
I mean, I talk about that. I've been talking about that for a while about how I don't think people really. I don't think it's fair how people they don't look at rappers doing interviews for what it like is. Like because if you've been making music, right? You're making music, you start getting the buzz, you start getting bigger and stuff like that. They don't understand it. Like it's kind of weird that now people like just want to sit you down and ask you questions and like record you, and like they
Word.
want to know about your whole life. And I'm like, yeah, no, but that can be a lot for people. So you know, like
That's a
adjust
fact.
takes time. But like I said, man, I think you've done a really good job here. I've seen other interviews you've been good in those too. So I'm definitely happy for you and happy to see you get to this point, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you for having me here. You heard?
Of course, man, absolutely. To wrap you.
Say it again.
Oh yeah, my fault. I said to wrap it up. What's something that most people don't know about you?
That I'm a calm person in person. You heard? That's what they don't know. Everybody just hear the music. I'm calm. Feel me? I'm structured too. And I'm mad smart.
I was watching the comments, waiting to see if people would be like, "Nah, I don't agree." But yeah, no, I mean, no, I think that's because I think too, like being an artist, people are gonna want to meet you and say what up. And I'm definitely, I mean, I'm sure you're aware of this too. Some people will be afraid to say what's up to like rappers they're fans of. Like,
nah, don't be scared to say what's up, man.
Right.
Just say I'm a fan. I love your music. I'm gonna give you a fuck, give you a hug, take a pic, and go watch your day. You heard?
Right. Just don't be weird. Like, just
show
don't be
your
weird.
face. Show your face too.
All right. So I know you got the project Face of the What coming out very soon. Couple of hours. Will be out tomorrow. What do you want to say? What do you want to talk about the album? Anything you want to throw out there and ask you about? Anything you want to tell us? It's all to you.
Face of the What drop every platform. It's gonna be everywhere. That go and love it. It's heat there. And I got more shit coming after that. You heard? It ain't gonna.
Okay. All right. Fire. All right. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, bro.
All right, y'all.